So we're doing quadratic regression and finding an equation given a graph. Number one, find a quadratic equation that best fits the data, then predict y when x equals 5. So in your calculator, go ahead and go to stat. In your calculator, go to stat. It's underneath the delete button. So hit stat. And then hit enter. We're going to edit some data. So hit enter for edit. And you're typing in the x values, in L1 and the y values in L2. You did this in Math 1. This should be a review. So -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you have all these numbers on your own sheet. So if you can't see up here, look at your own sheet. So type them in L1 and L2. Got it? Anybody else having trouble? Yeah. Okay, I would just look over Lucas's shoulder for right now. Anybody else? Okay, after you get them in stat, hit stat again. Hit stat again. Go over to calc. And we're doing quadratic regression. That's what it said in the instructions, quadratic equations. So you're going down to quadratic, that's number 5. And press enter, enter, enter. And here is your equation, okay? All right, guys, look up here again, please. If you need to, get your partner to help you. Hit stat, okay? Make sure that your numbers are in L1 and L2. If you don't have L1 and L2, we need to fix your calculator. So make sure your numbers are in L1 and L2. And then hit stat again, over to calc, and you're going down to number 5. And there's different people have different calculators, but you just keep pressing enter. You just keep pressing enter until it pops up, okay? Chelsea, did you get it? Yeah. Okay, all right, on your paper, we're gonna go to the nearest hundredths. Y equals 1.68, that rounds, 1.68, I'm getting that from the calculator, 1.68. What does the calculator say goes beside the A value? X squared, so you put an X squared. And then minus 3.91, that's your B value, what goes beside of that, X, and then minus 0.23, all right, minus 0.23. So that is your equation. And then it says predict Y when X equals 5. All right, a couple different ways to do that. You could plug 5 into both spots. You could plug 5 into both spots. Another thing you can do is hit your y equals, top left, hit your y equals. Now hit vars. Hit vars, it's underneath the arrows. Hit vars. And you are going down to number 5. Press enter. Then you go over to EQ and press enter. Okay, yeah, that worked. All right, do you want me to say those instructions again? Yes. Okay, make sure you're in the Y equals screen. So some of y'all might have blank ones. Hit your Y equals, good, okay? Hit your Y equals. Then you hit the vars button. Hit the vars button, go down to number 5. Go down to number 5, press enter. Then go over to EQ and press enter. And it will put the equation, the whole thing without rounding it. It'll put the whole equation in your Y equals 40. Okay?
Is the other version rounded? There's another way to do it.
Yes, there is. All right, no, the other way to do it is not wrong. Then you hit second graph. That takes you to your table, and mine didn't work. Oh, I wonder if I put it in twice because I just showed y'all how to do it twice. Sorry. Vars 5 EQ second table. That's what it was. I told the calculator to do it twice. Okay. We know that x is supposed to equal what? 5. So you can go down to 5 and get your answer that way. And so what is the answer? 22.2. Okay. All right. Uh-huh.
I did the second graph before I did all the bars and got the whole equation. It didn't make me do that. Then I still got 22.2.
Yes, there's multiple ways to do it. Okay? Multiple ways to do it. All right, number 2. The table below shows the horizontal distance in feet traveled by a baseball hit at various angles. The initial speed of the ball at the bat is constant. Batter up. Find the quadratic regression equation. All right, so we're going back to stat. Going back to stat, press enter. To edit it, to clear it, you go up to the top and you press clear enter, not delete. You press clear enter. That's how you can clear it out. Go up to the top and clear it out. All right, and you are typing into L1 and L2. So 10, 15, 20, 30. All right, anybody need help with their calculator? All right, once you get them in, press stat again. Then I go over to calc down to number 5. Okay, enter, enter, enter. All right, well, we got to move on, all right? So, y equals, all right, what's going in for A? Let's do the nearest hundredths. Negative 0.15. All right, what do you write next to that? X squared, because it's quadratic. Then what? Plus 0.3. X, good. You gotta put an X next to that one. And then negative 6.8. That one, okay? All right, so the calculator does all the work for those type of problems, correct? Okay. Questions? All right, number 3, the concentration of medicine in milligrams per liter in a patient's blood as time passes and is shown in the table below. A quadratic model, so that's important. What else will you see instead of quadratic? What did y'all see in Math 1? Linear, okay, so pay attention to that. Is a model of best fit. And what is the concentration of medicine in the blood after 1.75 hours? So let's go ahead and put them in stat and get our regression equation. So clear, enter. Y'all can text 100 words per minute. You can type in numbers, 100 numbers per minute. Let's go. I bet y'all can. I don't.
Except the calculator doesn't have audio break. You might get a number wrong.
It's true. It's true. Okay, up here again, I'm going to hit stat, over to calc, down to number 5. That stands for quadratic. Enter, enter. And I'm going to go ahead and, okay, actually, I'm not going to write this one down. You're welcome to, but I'm not going to write it down. I need to answer these questions, so I'm going to go ahead and go to y equals. I'm going to go ahead and go to y equals. I'm going to clear out what's in there. I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear out what's in there. I'm going to hit bars. down to number 5, and then over to EQ. Press enter, okay? And it puts it in there. Now I'm going to go to my table, second graph, and I will get to my table. All right, the first question is saying that it's 1.75 what? 1.75 hours. 1.75 hours. Is hours X or Y? Hours is your X. To make it do 1.75, I just go to table set, so second window, and I'm going to tell it to start at 1.75. Second window, I'm going to tell it to start at 1.75 and then go back to your table. And so what is the answer? What? And then you go to second table again. It doesn't matter. It'll automatically save it. All right, and so you get 73.78. Okay? All right. B says, at what time will it be back to 0 milligrams per liter? Is milligrams per liter an X or a Y value? It's a Y value. So we're looking for 0 in the Y column. We're looking for 0 in the Y column. Based on what I have right now, it jumps from 73 to negative 91. If you go from a positive to a negative, what do you have to pass by? 0. So it's going to happen between 1.75 and 2.75. Let's make that more exact. So second window. What do you want to tell it to start at? 0. Okay, we'll tell it to start at 0. Guys, we hit second window is how we got there. Do y'all know what the triangle stands for? Yeah, but do you know the delta? Okay, delta table, that's your change. Delta stands for change. Let's tell it to change by, instead of 1s, let's go smaller. 0.1. All right, we'll do 0.1. So second table, and I'm just going to hold it down and scroll until I get to 0 over here. It might take, oh, didn't take too long. What's the closest to 0? Right there. It's pretty close to 0 there. 2.3. If you put 2.4, I wouldn't count it wrong. Okay? 2.3, 2.4. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, so like I don't have a Y table.
Okay, it's because you missed a step. So in the Y, just gotta hit bars. Down to number 5. Over to EQ. Press enter. And now go to your table. You good?
No.
Okay, I'll look at it after the lesson, okay? Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Okay, number 4, find the standard equation of a quadratic with the graph. This one is calculator inactive, okay? Calculator inactive. If you look at this graph, what information do you see? The vertex, okay? So we'll write that down. The vertex is at 1, 4, yes? Okay, the vertex is at 1, 4. What other information do you have? All right. The roots, also known as the x-intercepts. Okay. Those are at negative 1, 0, and 3, 0. Correct? Okay. Any questions about how I got this information? Okay. I need to write the equation of the quadratic. I can use different forms depending on what I want to use. I prefer vertex form, but you could also do factored form since you have the roots, okay? But I'm going to do this one with vertex form. So vertex form is y equals a x minus h squared plus k. We've been working with that all week. Y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Your h and k is your vertex, okay? X and y is any point on the parabola. X and y is any point on the parabola. So you could use your roots or you could use a different point. We're going to use our roots, okay? So let's use 3, 0. Those are both positive. So we're going to let that be our X and our Y. So for Y, I'm going to plug in 0. For Y, I'm going to plug in 0. I do not know the A value.
It's just nothing.
Hold on. And what goes in for X? 3. Okay. Minus what goes in for H? 1. That's your H and your K. And then plus 4. Okay. All right. So 0 equals A. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay. 2 squared is 4. Okay. Plus 4. All right, if I'm trying to solve this for A, I need to move the plus 4 to the other side. It makes it a negative 4. And then I'm going to write this as 4A, because this is A times 4. Y'all know in math that's 4A. And then what do you do last to both sides? Divide by 4. So your A value is negative 1. Okay? Your A value is negative 1. Now, you can also get the A value just by looking at the graph. This one's opening down, so it has to be negative, okay? Another way, so you have to know if it's positive or negative. You also need to know what the A value is. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, okay? It can be different things. This one goes down 1 over 1, then it goes down 3 over 1, then down 5 over 1. That's the standard pattern. We did that last week. That's your standard pattern. And so for the standard pattern, that means your A value is 1. Now in this case, it's negative because it's opening down. Okay? All right? If it doesn't go by 1, 3, and 5, that means there's a stretch or a compression. Okay? Now, you can either do the algebra or you can look at the graph, whichever method works for you. We're still not done with this problem because it said find the standard equation, and we have not done that yet. So, all right, let's plug in what we know. Y equals, we now know the A value is what? Negative 1, okay? And you're going to put X back in there. So X and Y become variables again. Minus, what is H? 1 squared plus 4, okay? This is vertex form. Last week we talked about how do we get this to standard form? You've got to multiply it out. So this is negative 1, x minus 1 times x minus 1 plus 4. Do y'all want to distribute the negative 1 or FOIL next? FOIL, so negative 1. When you FOIL, you get x squared minus 2x plus 1. When you FOIL that out, you'll get x squared minus 2x plus 1. So my final answer is going to be y equals negative x squared plus 2x. I'm distributing the negative 1. Negative 1 times 1 is? Negative 1 times 1 is? Negative 1 plus 4 is? 3. Okay. All right, so that is the answer. Okay. Yes, it is. Number 5, find the standard equation of the quadratic with the graph. What do we know about this one? The vertex is 2, 0. Yep, opens up. And the y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, right? Okay. All right. Feel free, if you understand the patterns and how the graph works, you do not have to do the algebra. I'm going to go ahead and do it because some people prefer that method. So once again, I'm going to use the vertex form. And I'm going to use the y-intercept as my x and y point. So for y, I'm putting in 8. I don't know A. X is 0 minus, what's H? Yep, that's your vertex, plus 0. Okay. All right, 0 minus 2 is negative 2. What's negative 2 squared? 4. I'm going to go ahead and write that as 4A. And we know the plus 0 doesn't matter. And then you divide both sides by 4. So A is 2. Okay. All right, even if you looked at the graph, did some of y'all look at the graph and find your A value to be 2? All right, a couple of you did. You still will have to go back and do this next step. A is 2. A is 2. X minus, what was H? 2 squared, and I'm not going to write plus 0. So I need to FOIL that. Some of y'all do the box method, that's fine. So you get x squared minus 4x plus 4. And your final answer is 2x squared minus 8x plus 8. Okay. All right, flip it over. Okay, finding the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So what form is this? Standard. The equation of a quadratic whose graph intersects the x-axis at 4 and negative 3 and passes through the point 2, negative 20. All right. Did they give us the vertex? Did they give us the vertex? No. Can we use vertex form? No, we cannot use vertex form. What's our other form we could use? Factored form. All right, so the formula for factored form is y equals a x minus r1 x minus r2. That's the formula for factored form. Okay. What does r stand for? Your roots. Okay, so r1 is root 1, r2 is root 2. Okay. All right. And all right. Okay, so we're gonna let this point be our x and our y. All right, so what's going in for y? Negative 20. Do I know the a value? No. Okay. For x, you're gonna put in 2. All right, for x, you're gonna put in 2 minus. Root is where it crosses the x-axis. So where does it cross the x-axis at? 4. And then for this x, you put in the same number again. Put in the same number again. So x is 2. And what is my second root? It's 2 minus negative 3, which turns into a positive. Okay? All right, 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. And negative 2 times 5 is negative 2 times 5? Negative 10. All right, so I'm going to write it over here. Negative 20 equals negative 10a. And then you need to divide both sides by negative 10. And so a is 2. A is 2. Unfortunately, it still wants it in standard form, okay? So y equals, what goes in for a? 2. Then I'm going to do x minus 4. So I'm putting in my roots. And this one would be x plus 3. Remember, you do the opposite because it's in parentheses. So minus 4, I'm getting that from here, and positive 3. All right, when you FOIL this one, you get x squared minus x minus 12. All right, y'all know how to FOIL. I'm just skipping that step because y'all know how to do that. All right, and you may need to do the extra step, and that's fine, but we're skipping it for the sake of the bigger picture. And then you need to distribute your 2. So your answer is 2x squared minus 2x minus 24. Okay. 2x squared minus 2x minus 24. Okay. questions? Okay. All right, number 7. The towers of suspension bridge are 800 feet apart. They rise 162 feet higher than the road. Suppose that the cable between the towers has a shape of a parabola and is 2 feet higher than the road at a point halfway between the towers. All right, this one is calculator active, okay? All right, first thing you need to do is figure out what these points are. What would this point be? Let's let this be the y-axis. So this is the y-axis. So what point would this be? 0, 162 would be that point. Okay. What about this point? 800, 162, because you got to go over 800 feet, up 162. And what about this one in the middle? Good, 402. Where's the 400 coming from? Halfway point, it said that. And where's the 2 coming from? 2 feet above the road. 2 feet higher. Okay, all right. What is the approximate height of the cable? 190 feet from either tower. What do you think I need to do with these 3 points? Put them in stat. Put them in stat. Put them in stat. Your x's are going to go in L1. Your x's are going to go in L1 and your y's in L2. Doesn't matter what order you put them in as long as you are consistent. Okay. All right, after you put them in, hit stat again, over to calc, down to number 5. It did not use the word quadratic in the word problem. How do I know it's quadratic? Because it's a parabola. Okay. All right. And the question's asking, what is the height of the cable 190 feet from either tower? So let's go ahead and go to our y equals. Go to our y equals. Clear out what's in there. And how do I get the new y equals in there? Bars. Down to 5. Over to EQ. Yep, and we are going to have to look at yours later, probably, Taylor. Okay, all right, so you get in there. If I'm 190 feet from the tower, is 190 an x value or a y? An x. If I'm 190 feet from the tower, that's x-axis. So once again, go to your second, what? Window, second window. And I'm just going to tell it to start at 190. That's all I need. 190. And then go to second graph. And so at 190, how high is it? 46.1, which is D. Okay. Good, good. All right. Number 8, based on the graph, which value of B will satisfy the equation x squared plus bx minus 4 equals 0? Okay, couple different ways to do this one. One way is you could plug in your answer choices for what? B. You could put them in your y equals and graph it and see which graph matches. Okay, that's one way to do it. You could also know that this point right here is at negative what?
6. A little more than
Negative 1.5 comma negative 6. Okay.
It's more
What?
than negative 6.
It's a little more than negative 6.
Okay, so that's actually not going to matter, but thank you for pointing that out. So to find B, your vertex, H equals negative B over 2A. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week. So this is your vertex, which means this is H. And so I know H is negative 1.5. Do I know what b is? No. And I know my a value is 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. All right, so you'd multiply both sides by 2, which gives me -3 equals -b. And so b equals 3, okay? If you forget this on a test, take each of your answer choices, plug them in for b, and graph them in the calculator, okay? Last one. This one has a vertex at -3, -5, and it passes through the point 1, 11. All right, what format are we going to use for this one? Vertex. What's the formula? Y equals a plus k. Okay. All right, what goes in for y? 11. What goes in for x? 1. What goes in for h? Yep, so this turns into a +3 and then -5. All right, 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 squared is 16, so I'm going to write this as 16a minus 5. Then what do you need to do next? Plus 5, which gives you 16 equals 16a. Divide by 16, so a is 1. Okay. Unfortunately, once again, they want it in standard form. So y equals, I'm not even going to write the 1, x plus 3 squared minus 5. So you're plugging in your h and your k. So when you write this twice, you get x squared plus 6x plus 9. So there is your